This is Lucas Kim with the latest episode of PodCats, and today we have a very special guest, Tyler Tomlinson, head coach of the women's soccer team. Good morning, Tyler. How are you?
Morning, Lucas. I'm good. Excited for this. Let's do it.
Right. I'm excited too. Okay, so we have started the season already. One win and two losses. What takeaways do you make from these games so far?
Yeah, I think we had a great start to the season.
Hmm.
We were doing a lot of things well. We were able to play up to our competition level, and we're still able to, probably get some wins where we were supposed to win those games overall. And so we're able to find our rotations, I feel, which was important. But yeah, I think so far, what are we? We're about 8 or 9 games in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so about halfway. So at the halfway point, I would say that yeah, I'm not satisfied, but I'm happy with how things are going so far.
Right, and I can see that because so far the record is pretty good. I meant one and two, but that's conference. But overall, the record is 6-2, I believe. Yeah,
Hmm.
so that's a great start. What do you think went wrong in those games that you guys lost?
Yeah, so I think we dropped two losses both in conference. We played Benedictine, which always is a good team, and I think ultimately in that game we played their style of play more than our style of play, and that when you do that, you let the other team dictate how the game's going to be played. You're not going to play as well, and so we got away from how we play and our principles. We got kind of sucked into how they wanted to play, and they were bigger, taller, and faster than us, and we need to keep the ball to avoid giving them opportunities, and we didn't do that. Um, Second game that we dropped, um, you know, we scored two goals on the road. Usually for us, that's enough to get a result.
Mm.
But very, um, I guess, not our way of playing usually. We allowed three goals, and so it's just not our reputation as a team that gives up a lot of goals. And so I was pretty disappointed in how we defended as a team. I was pretty disappointed in how we kind of allowed a lot of space vertically in the game. And so I think I know that we're better than that defensively. And so luckily this is a sport where you get the opportunity to go out and prove it again the next time.
Hmm. And I found that interesting when you're talking about style. So let's go back on that. How would you define your team's style then?
I think for us, we're best when we keep the ball, when we play on the ground, when we get numbers around the ball, when we unbalance the defense with numbers advantages, and we're able to switch the fields and really look for opportunities to attack based off of numerical superiority is kind of how we feel we play the best. It doesn't mean that we can't lift the lid sometimes and hit a longer pass if that's what's the best option is, but we don't want to get into that right away and just keep giving the ball to them and playing defense. And so just the makeup of our team, our game model, we're going to try to keep the ball as much as possible.
Hmm. And in addition to everything you've said, I know that you like to make a lot of emphasis on defense. So everything you've said plus defense, where did you get this coaching style from, like this philosophy that you want your teams to have?
Well, some people don't understand sometimes, but if you have the ball, you're actually playing pretty good defense because the other team doesn't have the ball.
Hmm.
And so I believe in that. And so I like that. I like to have the ball more than the opposition because that means we don't have to, play defense as a team and because we have possession. So that's just something that some people don't think about when they think about defense and possession, but they go hand in hand. And so yeah, like I do consider myself even then still a defensive minded coach. So the last couple of days, we've been talking a lot about defense. But as far as like where the philosophy comes from, it's taken a long time. I've been coaching for 14 years, and you start to try some things, and then when you see some things that work, and then you can improve on those things, even if it's a team defense aspect, um, and you eventually believe in those, and you can create some principles to build your team around. It doesn't happen overnight for new coaches. There's a lot of things that we could probably have done better when I was a younger coach. Um, and then I think one of the best ways to figure out your philosophy is watching other teams. Not just professionally, where I think that's obviously the top level to gain information, but I would recommend watching your peers. There's been a lot of coaches in my conference that I've coached against that I've stolen things from. And I'm like, wow, that's really good. I didn't think of ever doing that. Maybe that would help us. And so I'm not afraid to admit that I watch other teams and try to take in what they do well. And then if it fits with our team and how we want to do it. So, yeah, I mean, we had a big decision a couple of years ago to go from 4 backs to 3 backs. And so we've been doing it for 2.5, 3 years now. And now you start to see like every team we play against seems to have like 3 back, 3-5-2, 3, you know what I mean? And so I like that we are a bit ahead of the trend. And so when we maybe look to change things again, maybe we do it before other teams, and it just makes us a little bit harder to plan against.
So going back to the formation that you just mentioned, is this, I mean, you mentioned you've changed it. So are you the kind of coach that has like a system in mind and tries to force the players into it, or would you more adjust the system to the players that you have?
Well, I think you have to adjust the system to the players. We aren't the biggest, richest school in the world where we can just pick whoever we want to come and play for us. But,
right.
I think for us, trying to figure out what's best for the group that we have. And like I said, we are not, taller than everybody. We're not faster than everybody. And so we have to find different ways to play. But I think it's important in that sense to train that way. So you should train the way you play. And so every training session that you have should be based around your game model and how you want to play. And so hopefully we're doing that well enough in practice that, it comes out in different game situations because we've prepared our players the right way. But yeah, if next year, we're bigger, taller, faster, stronger, we can play more direct, we'll play more direct, and that's what's going to suit the team. And so I have to be able to recognize that as a coach and not get too stuck in my system that it's hurting the team.
And speaking of which, I mean, we've noticed you decided to play Savannah on the back this season, whereas last season she was playing more on the wings, on the left wing. What was the thought process for you on that?
You said Savannah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we had Cadence Payne coming and then she was starting at that center back position, in her first game, but she tore ligaments in her foot and needed surgery. And so, Savannah has been playing forward the last 2 years, but I've reminded some of our coaches already in conference that, Savannah was an all conference center back as a freshman, which is really hard to do in our conference. And so, when they see her, they're like, well, how long has this girl been here? And I'm like, well, she's been here all 3 years. She's just played a forward for us last couple of years, but her natural position is center back. And there's just things that she does naturally back there that other players don't do. Her composure is very high. Her defensive IQ is very high. And yet we can still benefit from her technical ability, distribution ability, and leadership that has really helped us off to the good start that we are. And so I think that, her back there, she's back at home mentally. And I think she dealt with some knee injuries and things like that, so she's as fit as she's been since her freshman year, and it's definitely showing.
I want to try and get to know you better, Coach. So you've mentioned you've been coaching for 14 years now. So where did you start, and what made you want to become a soccer coach? Is this something you've always had in mind when, like, growing up, that you wanted to do?
Yeah, no, Lucas. I was going to be on ESPN. That's what I was going to do. I was going to host Sports Center. Instead of Scott Van Pelt, it would have been me doing the top 10. But TV didn't work out for me. But I played college soccer. I played at Culver. And so, I have a little bit more passion when it comes to my team winning games, or your team winning games for the men's side. So I actually was teaching classes with journalism and kind of, coaching club at the time. And then eventually I knew the athletic director. He knew my background in coaching club and coaching soccer. And, at the time, Greg McVay was his name. And he, took a chance on a kid like me that, I'm glad he did because I really enjoy the job. And I like what I do every day. And so, that's kind of how I went from club and teaching college classes right into coaching college athletes. And so I still enjoy my time in the classroom, teaching here and there. And so I get to have kind of the best of both worlds where I am.
Right. Wow. I have to come up with something. Can you share memorable moments you've had in Culver throughout how many years you've been at Culver?
14.
14 years in Culver.
Mm-hmm.
So going into that, what was the most successful season you've had? And can you share like a memorable moment you've had all these years?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously for us, statistically speaking, 2021, was our best year. You finished fourth in conference. We hosted a playoff game. We had a lot of memorable moments with, a win to clinch the home field advantage for playoffs against a nationally ranked Missouri Valley team. Got my 100th career win at Mid-American Nazarene that year, another good team. And so, 2021 was definitely filled with a lot of fun and excitement. 2014 was our best season as far as how far we made it.
Right.
We made it to the conference championship game that year, and
Oh wow.
yeah, we made the conference playoffs. Kind of backed our way into the conference playoffs, and we lost to a team. I lost to Missouri Valley 5-0 in our last game, but someone else lost, so it allowed us to get into the playoffs. We won in penalty kicks at Baker, which was a great game. Then we went back to Missouri Valley, who just beat us 5-0, and we beat them in that game in regulation, 1-0, I believe. And then we went to Benedictine for the conference championship. So, that was a fun year. It obviously holds a special place in my heart as well. But yeah, I mean, each year I think there's always something you can take memory wise from what your kids do and who they are, and get to watch them grow now as adults and citizens of the world, and hopefully they're all doing well, and I'm glad that they all stay in touch. So lucky there.
Right. Yeah, I remember I was there in 2021 when that penalty shootout happened. It was pretty heartbreaking to see. I didn't know 2014 you made the conference finals. That's crazy.
So we've been there before. Yeah, so just now the goal is to get back there again.
Right. How would you think this year compares to those years? Like, what are your expectations with the players you have now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a lot of the pieces that are similar, I would say, to those years. We have a prolific goal scorer. We have a consistent midfield. We have a strong defense. We have a good goalkeeper. And so, on paper, I would say a lot of the things that we need to, make the playoffs and maybe make a run in the playoffs towards the national tournament are there. It's just, me as a coach to make sure we're prepared for each game separately, and then it's of course up to the players on the field to make sure that they're focused in every game and getting the results that they're supposed to get. And I think that the possibility is there for sure.
Right. And I don't know if this is pushing it too much, but can you name like the best player you've coached that you think at Culver throughout your years?
No, I mean I could say like statistically, something.
Right.
We have an All-American. We had an All-American goalkeeper from Australia. Keely Bitsis was named All-American in her time at Culver. And I don't, I'm not sure if she was on, either one of those teams that made the runs necessarily. And so, you don't always know when those players will come through. But no, we've been lucky enough to coach several players now that were considered like all Midwest and all Central region. And so I think we're a first team all conference or whatever it might be. We have so many of them, and they're all different players and different positions. And so when you look back over the years, a lot of them have made their mark on the program and will someday probably be recognized or be in the Hall of Fame or whatever it might be, and deserve that. And so my job is just to keep developing more kids to try to earn those accolades. And I don't even put a lot of stock into that stuff, if I'm being honest. I know some coaches that like live and die, like my kid has to be third team all conference. And I think that's great if you get the recognition that you deserve. But I think what's more important is that, you loved your experience at the college, you made an impact on your team, and you have a great bond with your teammates and schoolmates moving forward. And I think that's something that we've done really well.
Right. And I agree with that. I feel like everything you said, then if someone gets that prize, it comes as a consequence of all the things you've mentioned before.
Yep.
Couple last questions. So now going into Missouri Valley on Saturday, right?
Yep.
What are your expectations of the game? Like, how do you think it will go from a tactical perspective? If you don't mind sharing that.
Yeah, I think we have a lot to prove. I think after our last game, we bounced back after a loss and had a really good result at Graceland, and then we had a letdown game. A couple people asked me like, "What do you thoughts on the Baker game?" And I said, "I think it's a trap game. I think they're coming off a result that they didn't like, and they were going to have something to prove. And we were coming off a win where we maybe thought we were just cruising a little bit, and so we got a wake up call. And so we'll see how we respond to another loss." We seem to match up decently well with Missouri Valley over the years, I think, because they do play a little bit like us. And so hopefully that, is an advantage that we have in the game to be able to get them. They're a great team, well coached, a lot of talent, nationally ranked, made a great run in the national tournament. So obviously we know that it's going to be a challenge for us, and we just have to make sure we are ready to go and do that, especially on the road at their place.
Right. All right. I think that makes our time mark and question mark sort of. So I just wanted to say thank you, Coach. And I also wanted to say that watching your team at times, they've been a joy to watch this season. And I'm very excited of how far you guys can go this season. I am really excited. So
thank you. And I thought that you did a great job. These questions were awesome. Some good hard questions. I like it. So good luck in your next interviews as you guys move on to basketball and other things. And
all right.
Look forward to watching what you do.
All right. Thank you, Coach. You have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.